Well, there was a major marijuana bust on Forest Service lands last week, with authorities saying the haul could have been worth $108 million. Now, we're going to be looking at some file footage here of previous eradication efforts. According to a press release from the Mono County Sheriff's Department, as part of the campaign of the Mono Narcotic Enforcement Team, that's MONET, and that's to battle the cultivation of marijuana within Mono County, MONET agents, with the assistance of the Inyo Narcotics Enforcement Team, Inyo County Sheriff's Office, as well as Mammoth Lakes Police Department, Mono County Paramedics, Mono County Public Works, CHP, the Forest Service, BLM, California Department of Justice, camp operation there, as well as the U.S. Customs Service. All those agencies combined to eradicate a large marijuana operation located on Forest Service lands in the Inyo National Forest. Now, the eradication took place on Wednesday, August 15th, as well as Thursday, August 16th, and over those 2 days, with the assistance of 2 helicopters and 1 fixed-wing aircraft, law enforcement eradicated approximately 30,000 marijuana plants from a large grow site, which was approximately 1.5 miles in length, with a potential street value of those plants approximately $108 million, according to that press release. Now, during the eradication, 2 suspects were taken into custody within the grow site. The suspects were identified as Adelio Navarro, age 34, of Lake Elsinore, and Nemesis Venegas, age 22, of Paris. Now, during the arrest, 5 handguns and 1 rifle were also seized. There are still several outstanding suspects who are believed to be armed. The suspects that were arrested have been booked Mono County Jail in Bridgeport with bail set at $50,000, and they could ultimately be charged in federal court. Now, the press release states that with these types of illegal marijuana grow sites, public lands are routinely desecrated with garbage, piping material, etc. The U.S. Forest Service will return to the affected area and complete an extensive cleanup and restoration operation due to the destruction of public lands by the cultivators. The cleanup and restoration is not only time-consuming, but labor-intensive, and is done at a high cost to the taxpayers. Now, the press release goes on to say that MONET agents would like to warn outdoor enthusiasts of the dangers of locating one of those grow sites. If you see anything that looks out of place, such as cleared areas of forest that should not be cleared, fertilizer bags, black plastic pipes, large camps that seem out of place, or, yes, actively growing marijuana plants, you should leave the area immediately and note the location if possible and notify the appropriate law enforcement agency. Now, the press release states that these large-scale marijuana cultivators are routinely armed and are known to protect the gardens in any way they can. And again, we were looking at some file footage there from a previous eradication. Well, Bennett Kessler filed the following report. The controversial California Senate Bill 1148 grinds through the legislature this week. Former Mono County Senator Dave Cogdill first reported that the bill would cut funds for state hatcheries and the trout planting program. Now, since then, Cogdill has worked to defeat the bill and now to make changes in it through talks with SB 1148 sponsor Cal Trout. Now, Cogdill said his meeting last week with Cal Trout, their lobbyists, and private hatchery representatives went well. Cogdill said they are still working through the fine points of the proposed amendments, but reached considerable consensus on language that would strengthen AB 7 and improve wild and heritage trout programs. Now, Cogdill had worked for several years to get AB 7 approved, and that bill assures funding for hatcheries and for wild trout programs. All sides admit that the bill has never fully been implemented. Now, Cogdill said the author of SB 1148 has now removed the portions of the bill that were relating to lawsuits that, quote, caused the business community heartburn, and as a result, Cogdill said, got the bill out of the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Cogdill said that movement of the bill will make it harder to defeat. Now, Cogdill and others have managed to get these changes, the language calling for the creation of an independent science panel to oversee all trout programs, that has been removed. The language changing the priority of the Hatchery Inland Fisheries Fund to heritage and wild trout programs, that has also been removed. The requirement to genetically mark hatchery-produced fish has also been removed. And Cogdill has proposed other amendments that are under consideration, and they are maintain the Department of Fish and Game's current practice of periodically planting brood stock, and state that one of the intentions of the bill is, quote, continued maintenance and enhancement of California's historic hatchery system, end quote. Now, remove existing language that states funding for heritage and wild trout waters is a priority for the hatcheries and fisheries fund. Also, allow for the current $2 million annual allotment from the Fisheries Fund for Heritage and Wild Trout be adjusted annually to coincide with license fee increases. And Cogdill is providing regular updates for the Eastern Sierra. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed the following two reports. Government and business seem to demand more money from citizens who make less money mostly these days. News of the state's new fire fee of $150 per dwelling does not rest well with Californians. The Inyo Planning Department offered some answers to questions from our website commenters on this new fee. Now, a website with lots of information is available through the Inyo County Planning website. Go to inyoplanning.org, click on the current projects on the left, and then the state responsibility area, and in that section, click on California Fire Prevention Fee information. Now, this same section also holds maps of Inyo and areas covered by state fire agencies. Now, you can also go directly to firepreventionfee.org, and that website explains that you can appeal fees, which are generally $150 per habitable dwelling. You can appeal if there are errors behind your bill, such as number of dwellings on your property, the $35 credit if you are covered by a local fire district or any other areas, and you can also appeal online or by phone. Now, if you do fail to pay the annual fee, the California Board of Equalization can come after you with interest and a 10% penalty. The California Fire Prevention Fee website says that the Board of Equalization, quote, may take other action, end quote, but they don't explain any further. Now, the website says that the fees pay for brush clearance, forest health, fire break construction, defensible space inspections, emergency evacuation planning, fire prevention measures, fire hazard severity maps, implementation of the state fire plan, as well as law enforcement. Now, the fee was established in Law and Assembly Bill X-129 last July, and Inyo County and other local fire officials continue to oppose this fee. And you can check out our website, sierrawave.net, for the links to this information. Well, more than 15 years ago, citizens of Inyo County tried to tell their officials that they should not let Los Angeles Department of Water and Power dump town water systems back on the people. The supervisors signed a long-term water agreement that did let DWP off the hook. Now, Inyo County government still struggles with how to run the water systems of Lone Pine, Independence, and Laws. Back in March, Inyo County issued a request for proposals to either operate by contract or lease the water systems from the county. Officials have made no decisions. Interim Public Works Director Doug Wilson said that there are still some, quote, internal staff issues, end quote, that have delayed the water system status. He said there has not been enough staff available to process the RFPs. Now, when asked how leasing or contracting out the systems would affect water rates for citizens in the three communities, Wilson said he would not talk about it until he holds a workshop with the Inyo County Board of Supervisors. Wilson said the RFP had flexibility in either contracting or leasing the systems. He did say that Inyo's goal is to, quote, diminish the county's role in the operation of the systems, end quote. Now, Wilson also said that the issues of rates is not in the RFP. He did say, quote, at some point we will have to look at the rates. The issue is out there, end quote. Now, he said there are other issues in regard to the cost of running the systems, like the condition the systems are in and improvements that have to be made. Wilson said all of that will require a second workshop with the Board of Supervisors. Now, at the time Inyo County agreed to take over the systems from DWP, some officials and citizens believe that the systems were not brought up to standards by LA. Others have said there are scant records about the systems. To citizens' fears of much higher water rates, Supervisor Marty Fortney said he did not know about that and needs more information. Meanwhile, Inyo Services continues to operate the systems for Inyo County on an extended agreement. We'll be back with more news.